Camera number 415, and we've ventured into the realms of medium format with the Yashica mat, a camera that was released around about the late 1950s and produced right up until the early 1970s. Variations of lenses and even shutters were used during the course of that period, but it's a TLR, a twin lens reflex camera. This is the viewing lens, and that's the taking lens. It features an 80mm Yashica lens. The viewfinder, or viewing lens rather, is an f3.2, which is it's quite bright when you look through it, and the taking lens is f3.5, so there is a difference there. I think the best way to explain the camera or go through its functions and features is to actually simulate putting film in it. So let's do that. It takes 120 format film, and we need to place the camera on its front here, and then we can see the base, and we have the dial here, which also houses the tripod mount, and you can see that we have one way to open, one way to close. So if we rotate it anti-clockwise from this angle, see that it moves the armature here, which also acts as a footer for the camera, which is nicely well thought out. And then we can lift the film chamber, and if we were in any doubt, we can see quite clearly it is 120 film. And so we have our film in the bottom here, which then goes over and into the spool at the top here. So notice I have an empty spool, so let's take that out. We do that by removing or moving out the little spring here that for the spool, and then we'll put that in the top. Do the same thing here, and we can just put that in. Hopefully it will go in nice and easy, and then just rotate it and it should click into place, hopefully, he says. Reasonably confident. There we go, that's in. And then we put our film in the same way. There we go. And we have to ensure, of course, that the film side, which is this black bit, goes facing down into the camera, because of course that's where the lens is. And then we'll twiddle it round this way, I think, because this is the crank that advances the film. So let's just put it so that we can put the film through the little slot, and hopefully it will work first time, which of course it won't. So let's try that again, take two. Just talk amongst yourselves. There we go. There we go. And then what we're waiting for is the, here we are, the two arrows. And we basically have to line them up. There's two little red triangles just here. So if we just advance that, there we go. So the arrows are aligned. We can then close our back and then lock it by going clockwise. There we go. And then let's look at this side. So our film counter is here. It currently reads S, and we have to rotate the crank until it stops. It does there and reads number 1. To cock the shutter, we advance the crank anti-clockwise until it stops there, which is opposite the crank resting place. Nice little recess there, and we're ready to go. So I'm just going to change the angle of the camera now, because I need to now lift up the viewfinder. Okay, so we're now going to lift up the viewfinder, the hood there, and there is our, so we look down into the viewfinder, which we'll just show there. This particular one, it has various viewfinders, if you like. This one has the rule of thirds grid, which is useful, and to focus we use this ring here, and that will move the whole of the frame of the film here, or rather the lens out or in, and we focus on our subject. And what's nice is that there's also, if you like, a field of view here, depending on what aperture we chose, we can see what's going to be in focus and out of focus. So that's nice to see that. If for some reason we're having difficulty focusing, we can push the hood, which pings out a little magnifier, and then we can see that even clearly, or more clearly. We can also, let's just push that back up, can continue to push the hood down, and then that gives us a, if you like, sports viewfinder, where we look through directly that little hole there. Otherwise we can press the little spring here and that will pop back up. So having focused, we now need to set our aperture and shutter, which we do with these two dials. Again, let's just put that on its base so we can see. Try and zoom in here. And so this is the right hand one, changes the shutter speed, and the left hand one changes the aperture. So because it's all manual, we have to use an external meter, or rule of Sunny 16 if you like, to obtain a correct exposure, and then we put those in manually to those two dials. Once we've done that, we can then actually take the image, which we do with the shutter button, which is the bottom here. There we go. The shutter button can be unscrewed, and revealing a port, if you like, for us to put a cable release in. We also have a self timer here on the bottom, and then here is a little lever for us to select our flash, and then we have a flash port just there. A film memo is also included in the dial here, so it is only a memo, it doesn't alter anything because of course there is no light meter. Some lugs for a strap as well around both sides, and there we go. We get 12 exposures from a roll of 120 film, and the camera will keep counting until 12, so every time we take an image, which we've just done, we have to advance the film, number 2, and then rewind it anti-clockwise to cock the shutter. So it's a much slower form of photography, but an enjoyable one, and hopefully reflected in the images that I will show at the end of the video. So there we go, that's the Yashica mat, and that's been camera number 415.